The State Department tonight agreeing to turn over all of Hillary Clinton's schedules by mid-October. The move marks a stunning reversal. Previously, the State Department told the Associated Press that it wouldn't be fully releasing the minute-by-minute schedules until after the election. The AP last week reported that more than half of the meetings that then Secretary of State Clinton took with people outside the government were with Clinton Foundation donors. Joining me right now with their thoughts on all of it, Washington Times columnist Charlie Hurt and attorney and radio talk show host Eboni Williams. Both are Fox News contributors. Good to have you both here. Eboni,
good to be with you, Trish.
This does not seem good for her. I mean, in other words, if there's more evidence here that she was taking meetings with people that were foundation donors, how's that going to play politically?
Politically, it looks a mess. It's why her numbers are at 56% unfavorable, lower than they've ever been in her 20-some-odd political career. Here's the problem. It has all this, she says herself, it's a lot of smoke, no fire. Politically speaking, though, Trish, we don't have to have a full fire. Smoke is bad enough because it fuels a narrative that says you were doing pay-for-play, you were selling access to potentially national security, and that reads very bad for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, this is a woman who's smart. This is a woman who is ambitious, Charlie. I mean, she had to have known that this sort of thing would come back to haunt her, and yet she did it anyway.
Yeah, I don't think that, you know, that they care about any of that. The Clintons from the beginning have always been just shockingly shameless. They don't. The rules do not apply to them. And that line from her with CNN earlier this week or late last week, talking about how there's all this smoke, but there's no fire. Well, the smoke had to come from somewhere, and it's obviously coming from all these emails that are coming out, and they're not coming out because the Clintons wanted them to come out. They have stalled at every step of the way, and of course we saw earlier this week where the Clintons they complain about that AP report. Well, they claim that only half the story came out after how many years of trying to keep any of the emails from coming out. If they want the full story out, which I guarantee you is worse than half the story, then why don't they just cooperate and give the email?
Well, you know, I'd also add that if there's smoke, that's problem enough.
Yep.
In other words, it's perception, to your point, Eboni.
Sure.
In other
Exactly.
words, why would you allow this to be fueled? You know, you think about judges. You're an attorney by background.
That's right.
A judge on a federal case, if he or she were to have
absolutely right.
stock in a company that he or she had to make a decision on, he or she recuses himself. I mean, why was there not more of a Chinese wall between this foundation and the State Department?
Here's my guess, Trish. They've decided that whatever benefit they gained from this dynamic was worth it. I mean, that's the only reasonable conclusion any of us can make.
Wow. Well, that's scary.
That's scary, but that's the only thing that makes sense. Certainly, like you said, she's not new to the game. It's not like she's a rookie here. You know the way this is going to read, how it's going to look, and yet you did it anyway.
So in other words, she's either really stupid or she's crooked.
Which we know she's not stupid, right? I think we know that, even if we don't like what she's done. She's not a dummy. So she's decided and probably had a whole team of lawyers and advisors to say, this is how far you can go without actually crossing the line.
Charlie, you know, you look at recent polls and it shows that Donald Trump is narrowing that gap. She's struggling. Trustworthiness, forget it. Americans do not trust her. Her likability numbers, not very high. There you go. In a four-way race, I mean, there's just a very narrow spread there. 41% to Clinton, 39% to Trump. Is it because of the foundation? I mean, because of the media's recent focus on this, you know, alleged pay-to-play scheme that she's suffering?
I think to some degree, but the problem is that, you know, she's been in the public eye for 2.5 decades on the national scene, and the real problem is that all of this is stuff that just sounds so familiar, and it sounds so Clinton, and and I've never thought, I mean, I've always thought that she'll never get rid of her negatives. Those things are so, there's such hard numbers. Donald Trump has terrible negatives.
So she's never going to get rid of them. The question is, are they going to keep getting worse?
Oh, I think that, and I think they will, because I mean, if you really step back and look at this scandal, this is, I think, clearly the worst scandal of any of the Clinton scandals that we have ever endured. This is a $2 billion global shakedown scam using one of the most powerful and important departments of our government to shake down foreign leaders. And the latest report about how, Doug Band, an official with the Clinton Foundation, calling Uma Abedin at the State Department trying to get diplomatic passports for a wealthy donor, and then the State Department saying, well, we can't comment on that because we don't know if it actually happened. It doesn't matter. The fact that you had an official at the Clinton Foundation making the request to somebody at that level, at Uma Abedin's level at the State Department, it's stunning. It is absolute bribery.
Final thought, though, Trish, is the question now becomes, as bad as her negatives are, what can Donald Trump do to capitalize on that and turn that into a political advantage for him? Yeah, well, he's certainly trying, and perhaps that was his objective there, going down to Mexico to meet with.
And I think that was an excellent event that he did there. Mm-hmm.
Looking pretty presidential, you got to say, up there standing next to another president. Anyway, thank you so much, Charlie Hart and Eboni Williams. Good to see you guys.